Hey everybody, this is Brogi Naric back again with another review, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Shazam, the new DC movie directed by David F. Sandberg, who's mostly known for horror movies. He's one of James Wan's friends who's worked on some of his horror movies for Warner Brothers, and now he's been shifted over to the DC line to direct this movie Shazam. So first off, I just want to say, you did it, Warner Brothers. DC, you got a certified hit right here. I hope this movie makes all the money it can. It was really good. I hope this movie makes all the money. It was a really good film. Now, when they first announced this movie, I was like, why are we doing Shazam? Like, I love Shazam. He's a cool character. And throughout this video, I may call him Captain Marvel. He used to be called Captain Marvel back in the day. He's no longer that. He's now branded as Shazam. And when they announced Zachary Levi, I was just like, what are we doing? Like, there was a part of me that's like, this could work, but you have to have the right set of circumstances for him as Captain Marvel or him as Shazam to work. And I have to say, they had the right circumstances. They had the right character, right actors, the right directors, writers, designers, and it worked like $1,000,000, man. It was really good. Quick synopsis of the movie. You have this kid named Billy Batson who is a orphan, and he's a bit of a trouble kid. He's going around, and he ends up with this new foster family. While that's going on, there's this magical wizard who is dying, and he needs someone to take his place because his enemies are going to be freed, and the world needs a champion to protect it. And over time, he eventually decides to pick this kid, Billy. In the movie, you have your main character, Billy Batson, played by Asher Angel, who's very good in this film. I liked him a lot. This might be the first movie I've seen him in. I'm not too familiar with him. He's a young actor, but he does a very good job. He's like he's a street kid, and he's crafty, but he's not like an annoying douche, but he's believable. He's a very believable kid. And he's a little bit more like the New 52 version, but not quite as bad, because the New 52 version of Billy was an asshole. That's why most people didn't like the New 52 version of Shazam, or at least the original fans didn't really like him, because Billy used to be a very wholesome, good-natured kid. And I get in the modern-day context, it's not going to be easy or believable for that to be. And so they went the opposite way, and he's like cursing. Well, he curses in this movie, but like in the comic, it was a bit like, that's unnecessary. But in the movie, when the kids do curse, it seems believable because, you know, kids curse. There is cursing in this movie. It's PG-13, and there are some couple not intense like, oh my god, but like there are some when things go down in this movie. With the director being a horror director, he knows how to use suspense and tension to his advantage, and he does not shy away from that. Now, it's not bloody or anything, but there are stakes in this movie, and I appreciated that. Another character in this is Freddie Freeman, who is Billy's friend slash brother at this new foster family that he's added to, played by Jack Dylan Grazer, and he's great. Freddie, if you haven't seen the trailers, Freddie, he's handicapped. He's got those crutches that you walk on when you hold him and you lean forward. He's got those, which in the comic, the original comic, he was crippled too. He didn't have the crutches like that. He had more like the old school, like Tiny Tim sort of crutch, but he was handicapped too. So I like that they kept that with the character. And he's like a superhero super fan. He knows all the stuff about the superheroes in the main stuff of the main superheroes in the DC universe. And he's the fanboy. So of course, once Billy gets his powers, he's the one that's helping him how to train, how to discover what he can do and what he should do with his abilities. And then you also have Zachary Levi, who's your I guess, he is your main lead, who plays adult Billy when he transforms. And Zachary Levi does he does a great job with here. He doesn't really do much in terms of he's like really flexing his acting muscles, but what he brings to the role, he brings fun and the enjoyment of a kid inside an adult body and the things he would do as a kid inside an adult body. There's one joke, I'm not even going to ruin it, but there's one kind of adult joke which was very believable, and I'm glad they had that in there. It was really funny. But he looks great in the suit. A lot of people was talking shit about the suit, and I was like, look, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to look different on screen. When you see it on screen, it looks really good, and the colors to it look great. And he looks like a superhero. He looks like something brought out of the comic on the screen, which is very much like how Jason Momoa in Aquaman and looked, and how Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman looked, and all the others in the DC movies. Certain costumes look like they were ripped right from the comics, and this one does too. It's different, but it still looks like it was ripped from the comic. There's the Foster family. There's a bunch of kids at the Foster family. They're great. I love all those child actors. I love them all. It's amazing for like a movie with kids in it for me to not be annoyed by any of the child actors. They were really good. I like the kids. There's parents. The parents were cool. Now the villain, Dr. Thaddeus Savannah, played by Mark Strong. He is really good. He doesn't do anything like super crazy or out there. Like there's no big like, oh, I'm surprised they did. But the way it was done, the way it was told, the way it was handled, he's a threat. He's a real threat. And like I said, there's the suspense. There's certain parts when he's really like killing people. He's killing people. Like he's not bullshitting around. People is going. People is dying, and he's gonna kill this little kid if he has to. The humor is really good. There's a lot of humor in this, and most of it worked. Like I can't really think of many times when it didn't work. And once again, some of that humor comes from him, Captain Billy, working with his friend, learning how his powers work, and like especially that first time where he like stops a robbery and he doesn't know quite how strong he is. That was funny. And the suspense and the horror elements kind of playing that, well, the suspense more so, just how it was shot. The director, like I said, I've never seen his movies, but he does a really good job. The biggest thing I hope with this movie is this Shazam will be like what Iron Man was for the character Iron Man back in 2008, where it was a known character, but he wasn't that popular. And he has this big movie that makes this character like a rock star. I hope this happens with Shazam, because he's not that well known, but is a great concept. He used to be popular. There was a time when he was more popular than Superman back in the 40s and 50s, but that plays into the reason why he's not that famous right now. So it can happen again, and this movie really leads it up for that to happen. This was a great DC film. It did a thing where it didn't have to be super dark or overly dramatic in order for it to be necessarily fun or just a good story. It didn't have to talk down to it. It wasn't ashamed of being a comic book movie. You know, you have two people flying through the air and fighting, but it can also have moments of levity, sort of like a Marvel film, but it was still a little more intense at certain points than some of the other Marvel films. It reminded me of Winter Soldier. When you watch Winter Soldier and you're like you watch Captain America, then you watch Winter Soldier, and then like the action is much more in your face, much more intense. There's more cursing. It's a little harsher. This movie it was a crazy balance between humor and seriousness, and it really worked. And because sometimes some movies can do that and it doesn't work, but this one, it did very well. And unlike unlike Aquaman, which has the beautiful visuals, there's nothing too extravagant with the visuals of this movie, but when there are some cool things throughout it, and you care about the characters, you get enough time with both the hero and the villain to get their motivations and why they're doing the things they're doing. Special effects were very good. There wasn't bad CGI. I mean, I guess you could pick apart certain things, but like when he's flying, it looks good. When anybody's flying, it looks good. And the set pieces, like I said, it's nothing. There's no big like, oh, the world is beam in the sky. It's very contained story, and that's perfect for it, especially for like a origin first movie. So I'm trying to think of some negatives. One of the big positives I will say about this movie is the pacing. The pacing is very good, because it's a good balance between the humor and the family stuff, and then the superhero supervillain stuff. Because there's moments when it's focusing on Billy early in the movie and him getting to know his family, and it's kind of like, okay, it's just in the moment for me when I'm like, all right, I want something energetic or something different to happen. It'll cut to the villain doing his thing, and then once that plays, it'll cut back to Billy regular life, and then it'll cut back to some superhero stuff. So the pacing and the build up towards the end was well done. I have to say there wasn't a lot of exposition, or like say like Aquaman, where it's just people just talking a lot, and then crazy action scene, then talking a lot, crazy action scene. You know, the tension, it didn't necessarily cut the tension with a jump scare or an explosion. It cut the tension by going to focusing on something else, and it was done very well. Now, if I were to grade this film, this is where I've been kind of fighting, because I really enjoyed this film. I would definitely say go see it. It's worth your time. It's worth seeing opening weekend or whenever you can. It's a good movie. I would give it, I guess I would give it a 9 out of 10. An A. That's still a solid A if you want to grade it, but I would give it a 9 out of 10, an A. It was done very well. Just because how they handled the source material and the mythology of the Captain Marvel character and retold it, but didn't morph the character into something that it's not, which can happen sometimes. You know, I don't think there's going to be a big argument as say like Man of Steel, when it's like, is this really the ideal version of Superman, or should we accept this newer version of Superman that some people like and don't like? Like, you're not going to get a problem like that. They really handled the character in a respectful way, I would feel. And those are, so yeah, definitely check it out. Damn good film. And that's all I have to say for non-spoilers, so stick around for spoilers. Spoiler. I'm gonna kind of start from the beginning. It was cool to see John Glover in the film. If you don't know who John Glover is, he's an actor. He's been in a lot of DC stuff. He was in Batman and Robin. He played Poison Ivy's boss, and the Floronic Man in the comics. He was Lionel Luthor on Smallville, Lex Luthor's dad. And in this movie, he's done other voices throughout the shows. And in this movie, he played Dr. Sivana's dad, who was kind of an asshole. Well, not kind of, he was an asshole to him. And that whole opening sequence in, I think it was '74, when he's a kid playing with the eight ball, the fortune telling 8 ball, and him talking to the wizard Shazam, and then him failing, and that leading to an accident that not kills him, but like injures his dad. I like how they established that, and that's kind of his through line for becoming a villain, is like he wants to gain that power he could have had as a kid, but then he also is envious of his dad being a dick to him and saying he's not a man, he's not worth anything, and also his older brother as well. So that moment when he gets his powers and he goes back to the business and he unleashes the 7 deadly sins and just fucks those people up in their business in the meeting was great. When the demons come off of him, and they're like wrecking everybody and tossing everyone around. Like, he takes his brother and throws him out of the window. That's what I'm saying. That it's intense. Like, there's certain moments where it could have cut to not make it quite as intense or scary, but it holds on to it for a while. Like, you don't just see the brother off screen go through a window. Like, it shows him going over that edge, or like when the monster kills the dad, it doesn't just show the monster jumping at the dad. It jumps on top of him and like rips him a little bit, then it cuts. So like, I like that stuff. Billy is cool. I like how they handled Billy. I kind of have, now that I think about it, it's a little problem. Like, why didn't he ever use Google? If he was literally in Philadelphia. Yeah, that's the other thing. The movie is in Philadelphia. In the comics, he's in Fawcett City. That was a minor nitpick. I was like, I wished he was in Fawcett City. He's in Philadelphia, but the school is called Fawcett Central, so I'll leave it alone. He's in Philadelphia looking for his birth mother, because unlike in the comics where he's like an orphan, both of his parents are dead. His mom is still alive, or his parents are still alive. He just got lost, so he's been spending about 11 or so years trying to find his mom, or maybe 5 of those 11 years trying to find his mom. And then there's the moment when he finds her, and she's literally like up the street, you know, like she's like 2 subway stops away. And I'm just like, because when you see the story where he's at the fair or the carnival or whatever, and his mom loses him, and because he went back to pick something he dropped, and then he's with the police, and his mom doesn't find him. I'm like, his mom ain't shit, because she could have found this kid. I know his mom could have found this kid. So the moment when the little brother Eugene tracks her down, and she's like I said, 2 stops away, and she just let the cops keep him because she's like, I could have did better, because she was like an underage mom. She was like 17, and she was in like a bad relationship, and she's in another bad relationship. So I was like, yeah, his mom ain't shit. She could have found this kid. So that was a little pathos that they added to the kid, and that was his moment realizing, like, you know what, I do have a family. It's the Vasquez. The family in general, the family was cool. And that's one of the great secrets about this is I knew I knew it was going to happen, but none of the trailers showed the moment where they, you know, transform into the Shazam family. But when it happened on screen, that was a moment when the crowd just, like, they were so into it. I was into it too, when they all, like, transform and gain superpowers to help them fight the 7 deadly sins. That was cool, and I liked all the different, you know, adult versions. Had Megan Good as Shazam, as Darla Shazam. It had Adam Brody as Freddy Shazam, or Cap Marvel Jr. in the comics, and it had DJ Catrona as what's his name, Pedro, as the Mexican kid, the big kid. If you don't know, Adam Brody and DJ Catrona were going to be in the George Miller Justice League movie. They were going to be Flash and Superman. And having seen DJ Catrona in a Superman-esque costume, kind of glad he didn't play Superman, because he's not that big of a guy. But it was cool when I realized who that was. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's kind of a nice little nod to them playing superheroes. They play him in this movie. Zachary Levi does a great job. The humor, like I said, the humor is pretty good. I love that whole sequence when they're learning the powers, but specifically that one night where he runs back to Billy, and he realizes it's him, and he runs back to Freddy, and he realizes he's in this thing, and he's trying to figure out his powers, and whether it's invisibility or can he read minds and stuff like that. And he knocks down, he sees that lady getting mugged, and he like rushes over there and like knocks the hell out of that guy. Almost looked like he killed him. Like, if this was the Zack Snyder movie, that guy would have been dead. Like, honestly, because the way he bum rushed into that guy, it was very like immediate. It was like, whoa, that was, you know, that was intense. So, and then the lady is just like, I don't know what's going on. She just gives him the money and just leaves. And him at the gas station with the guys shooting him, and like Freddy's like recording it. Like, YouTube videos don't load up that goddamn fast. If they did, it'd be great, but they don't. But it was, I kind of like that. And the Jamin Hansu plays the Wizard Shazam, and I liked how they hinted to the little hints to Black Adam, where he's like, me and my family, we chose a champion, but he turned on us. And as a result, he unleashed the 7 deadly sins onto Earth. And it took some time for us to recapture them. But they've been captured. But, I lost my siblings. I'm the only one left. And I need a champion before I die. Like, he was trying to find a champion, back in the years beforehand. But the last one he got was Thaddeus. And from that moment on, when he lost it, he was obsessed. And I like how he was interviewing all these different people who Shazam had gotten to. And it was interesting. I don't quite understand why he chose Billy. I guess Billy was just next on the list, and he did that heroic thing where he beat up those bullies. Those bullies, whatever they were brothers. Those guys were fucking douchebags. God, I hated them. They were like super cartoonish bullies, and they're like beating up on Freddy. And I love when he got back at him and dropped that car out of the sky. And they just didn't quite get it. Like, even by the end of the movie, they're still picking on Freddy, even though Freddy in disguise gave them wedgies. That was the suitcase wedgie. That was a funny bit. And I kind of like how Billy's immediate reaction to having superpowers wasn't, I gotta save lives. It's like, hey, I could be an adult. I can get money, I can buy liquor, I can go to strip club. That was the joke. That was the reoccurring joke, him going to the strip club. That was funny. The strip club joke was funny. They had to steal the ATM machine. He was in the strip club for like 5 minutes and ran out of money. And so he had to hotwire the ATM machine to get more money. Jack Dylan Grazer and Zachary Levi, their chemistry was great. His chemistry with both him and Billy, Asher Angel, was good, but it was definitely even better with him and Zachary Levi. They were on fire together. Like I said, the family was cool. I liked the girl that played Mary, Grace Fulton. She was good. I liked her. She played the part of Mary. That was interesting. So yeah, Mary. In the comics, Mary and Billy are twins, but in this one, they're not related. she's actually the oldest of the kids, and she's about to go to college. So I thought that was interesting that they played it like that. I thought they were going to make them twins or whatever. Or maybe not long lost twins, but at least make them uh, the same age. But she's actually the oldest out of the kids. And so, I don't, maybe they did that so they can, well, it would be weird for them to have a relationship because they are like foster kids. And it's like a family. That whole thing with the family was cool. That's new. That's from the New 52 stuff. Because in the comic, he was an orphan. And in some versions, he's raised or sort of fostered by his uncle Dudley, who's the Shazam family, or the Captain Marvel family, later the Shazam family, which was Captain Marvel, Uncle Marvel, Freddie Marvel, or Captain Marvel Jr., who is Freddie, and Mary Marvel. And in the New 52, it's Shazam, Freddie, Mary, Pedro, Eugene, and Darla. It's like a whole group of kids, different backgrounds, different races, and different costumes as well. But they all have about the same set of powers, I think. I know they're not as powerful as Billy. Mark Strong was great. I love the humorous moments and like I said, serious moments, but then the humorous moments, like when him and Billy are having that big argument, but they're like a mile apart, floating in the sky, and he's like giving his big villain speech, and Billy's like, I can't hear you. It's like, I'm like a mile away from you, dude. There's like traffic and noise. I really can't hear you. And Mark Strong is like, I'm going to destroy you and take over the world. And then when Billy's like, look, dude, I can't hear you, man. You're just talking. That was a funny bit. And, and I like when Eugene, he threw the lightning and he did Hadouken. That was cool. It was like, yeah, they acting like kids with superpower. Dollars, like running around super fast. All the different little in-jokes with Freddy talking about the different superheroes, where he's got the Batarang, he's got the Bullet from Superman, he's got like 2 different Aquaman shirts, which is cool. One of the post-credits is the character Mr. Mind, who is, I believe he's an alien. He's like an alien caterpillar that's like super smart, and he usually works with Dr. Savannah. And in early part of the movie, when they go to the Rock of Eternity, which is the place where Shazam lives, the wizard Shazam, and his his lair, which is an inside joke, there's a container, and you can see this caterpillar in there, which I knew was Mr. Mind. So at the end, where Savannah is in the prison and the alien caterpillar comes up and is talking to him, I know a lot of people were like, what the fuck is that? It's from the comics. Shazam is a weird comic book. Just go with it. I was surprised they actually even bothered to touch that. I thought they were going to allude to Black Adam, but they was like, nah, we doing Mr. Mind. I'm like, okay, all right, let's see where this goes. I kind of want to say Henry Cavill fucked up. They had this cameo that was supposed to be for him as Superman, but he wanted to get more money. Warner Brothers didn't want to pay him more money. I don't blame him. So I guess he's no longer Superman at this point, and if they could have worked it out, he could have popped up in this scene, which would have been awesome, because there's this whole thing where Freddy is using Shazam to be popular, because he wants to be popular, even though he's this geeky kid, and he's also crippled. So he's envious of Billy a little bit, because he's like, if I had your powers, I would, be a hero, but I would also, kind of do the same things, but I would be better hero. And he makes this thing like, oh, I'm cool with the Red Cyclone, because Shazam doesn't have a name in this movie. His name is Shazam, but like publicly they don't call him that. He's mostly known as the Red Cyclone, because there's all these, and that's a run-on gag. He's got all these different names: Captain Sparklefingers. What was it? Thunder. Oh yeah, Thundercrack. That was the first one, Thundercrack, and he was like, I don't want that one, man. That sounds like something that has to do with butt stuff. I don't want. That was a good bit. So yeah, and by the end of the movie, the family's there, eating lunch with him, and he's like, what's going on? He's like, oh, we just had a special arrangement. Billy comes in as Shazam, and then he's like, yeah, this is my best friend, and all these kids are cool. He's like, he taught me everything I know about the superhero stuff. And he's like, also, I brought another friend of mine, and you look, and it's like, you can just see the chest, the S, and like, probably like, from this point down, you can see it's Superman. And everyone's like, whoa, and Freddy starts freaking out, and that's the end of this movie. And that's the end of the movie right there. I was like, that was good. I was like, man, that could have been nice if that was Henry Cavill. I'm not going to miss him as Superman, but that would have been nice if it could have been him on camera. And then the last cutscene, the last post-credit scene was them making an Aquaman joke, which was a funny joke. It was that was a very much like a Marvel cutscene, like that last one. They got the post-credit scene to be the serious connector to the next movie, and then the last one was just a throwaway joke, which was funny. It was them kind of giving some shine to Aquaman, and which was nice. I was afraid Sivana was going to be just another clone of Black Adam. He's different enough with the whole he's powered by the 7 deadly sins, and if each sin leaves his body, he gets weaker. And he holds on to one sin, which is envy, which fits Sivana because he's envious, but then also envy is the weaker of the sin, so the others leave, and they always keep envy behind because he's the run of the group, which Billy realizes and uses that to his advantage. That was a nice touch. He didn't have the lightning abilities. He only had the lightning once he had the staff, so he's not quite just evil Shazam. He was a little bit different, and also he had his minions with him. So, and that provided a good final scene. Oh, the Santa Claus. That was another bit, but Santa Claus, that was a funny bit. Because this movie takes place during Christmas, and there's this Santa at the mall, and there's this moment where Shazam and Sivana get into this fight, and they end up having this fight in the mall, and there's this bit where it's like little kid sits on Santa's lap, and she's talking to him, and he's like, well, don't worry about what I'm doing during the summer because Santa's always looking out for you. Then they burst through the floor and Santa leaves that little girl and runs away. And then there's a bit later when they're at the carnival and Santa sees the demons coming and he's like running and he gets set on fire a little bit and he's like screaming. No, he recognizes the guy from the mall. So he's like, run! And he's running and then something explodes and he gets fire on him and he like pets the fire out and runs away. So at the end when the news is there, reporting about what happened, he gets on the camera. He's like, this is the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen. There was fucking monsters all over the place. But they're like bleeping them out on the news. That was a funny bit. I like that. I like that run-on gag with the Santa Claus. Yeah, that was good. This was a fun movie. I love this movie a lot. Go see it. This was definitely funner and more enjoyable than Captain Marvel. I'm just gonna put it out there. It was. Check it out. Good movie. That's all I have to say. If you like this video, hit the like button. Check out other videos on this channel. Subscribe to the channel. We're still growing. Share this on your platforms. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more videos. Peace.
Finish this thought. I am a slave to
the booty.